We have Officer Matt Fallon from the Manassas Park Police Department. And Officer Fallon is actually here on his day off to come talk with you today, and we thank you for that. Officer Fallon?
Before we leave today, I have some handouts. I call it Drugs in America. I'm not going to go past that, but it doesn't answer any of the questions, or if mom and dad have questions about drug use, I encourage you to take a look in here. Today, I'm going to be brief. I'm going to talk to you about drug use in preteen adults, as well as good choices. Again, my name is Officer Fallon. I work patrol in Manassas Park, and I've been here for about 10 years. Just ask me to hold you all your questions at the end. As was mentioned before, and I'm going to talk specifically about the biggest drugs that are used in Manassas Park. And I don't necessarily mean by Manassas Park use. I mean anyone who we come in contact with. If we stop someone from Fairfax, Prince William, whatever, just focusing on items, illegal substances that are used by people under the age of 18. Number one, obviously, is alcohol, specifically underage drinking with beer, the Four Loko pop, alcohol that kind of looks like a soda can or a Monster. Those are pretty popular. We find those on young kids a lot. The second most popular drug that we're coming in contact with for those under the age of 18 is marijuana, followed by tobacco. Then we have abuse of non-prescribed prescription medication. And what I mean by that, like for example, let's say your mom, your dad, grandparents, older brother, sister, let's say they have like a toothache. They get prescribed something called Percocet. Percocet is like it's generic for oxycodone, which is a really powerful narcotic. It's like even it's more powerful than 800 milligrams of Advil. So we'll come in contact with juveniles that those under age 18. We'll come in contact with juveniles that have like medication on them. They're not supposed to. Medication is given to people for specific reasons. It's given make them feel better, and it's given to people so because what they're not allergic to. So for example, let's say you're allergic to opium, and you're using someone else's opium. There's a possibility you could get sick, you could throw up, you could have diarrhea, you could you could die. And I mean that's not even looking at the illegal aspects of possessing these drugs. Let's see. Some of the major crimes, or minor crimes, depending on who you are, that we're arresting Manassas Park youth for is drunk in public, underage possession of alcohol, possession of marijuana, possession of tobacco underage, DUI. We have a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds that think that the laws of the state, you have to be 21 years old to drink alcohol. They drive around, they get stoned. We work a lot of accidents where kids are smoking marijuana. We find marijuana in the car. They get arrested. We charge them with what's called DUI ID, which is driving under the influence of drugs or driving under the influence in general. There's another crime out there that nobody really even thinks about. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and we used to what we used to do, and I admit it, I used to do it, but I knew it was wrong. Wasn't always a police officer, but kids would, we would see like an older adult, right? And I remember this when I was 13, and we wanted to get some alcohol. So we saw some older adult drive up to 7-Eleven, Quick Mart, whatever. We tapped him on the shoulder, called it a shoulder tap, and we said, hey, Budweiser, it was like $6, six pack, could you, here's $10. So that adult would buy alcohol for us. I really don't like the taste of alcohol. I'm an adult, and it's kind of funny, but it's not something I really like. And that crime over there is called contributing to the delinquency of a minor. So if there's anyone over 18, and they buy alcohol for you, or they they give you marijuana, they give you cigarettes, not only can you get charged for the possession, they can get charged for the crime. We had a young lady, mother, she was I think 25 years old, and she had a 3-year-old kid. She was smoking marijuana in Prince William County, and the police officer, he was going to arrest her, Prince William County was going to arrest her, but he decided to release her on a summons because she had the child with her. So they sent the warrant, a piece of paperwork that said I have a right to arrest somebody. So I went to her house when someone else was not with her. I babysat. I took her to jail because she was smoking marijuana right in front of her son. As was mentioned before, one to talk about good choices. You got to know, got to know how to make a good choice. You got to, think about who your friends are, what positive choices, you want to be. A lot of you are like 12, 13, maybe 14 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to be in junior high, but let's say you want to be like a doctor, or you want to be a nurse, or you want to join the military, or you want to become a police officer. If you get convicted for possession of marijuana, even something like possession of tobacco while underage, you might not be able to get a chance to actually go take that job that you want to go to that college you want to go to, because when it comes down to it, some organizations they say, well, we have two people that we're going to send to college, and we have this one person, they're outgoing, they've been to all the varsity clubs and the math team, whatever, and we have this other person, and they have like the same, they follow the same choices, but when they're 17, they got arrested for possession of marijuana. Who do you think the college or the job employer is going to choose? They're probably going to choose the person that doesn't have the criminal record. So it's something that you don't want to follow with you. Let's see. If you're at a party, it could be like a social event. Somebody gives you like a container. If you're at a party and somebody gives you like a container and says, "Hey, drink this," and it's like it's opened, or they just hand you like a glass and it's got some liquid in it. Don't accept it, or if you want to be nice, pick it up, and when they're not looking, just pour it outside, or pour it down the drain, because you don't know what's actually handed in that drink. We don't see this in Manassas Park, but there's lots of drugs out there that people slip into drinks that make people really sick, makes them pass out, makes them hallucinate. That's basically having bad dreams when seeing things that aren't really there. Someone comes up to you, and I realized I was there. I was in junior high once for myself. Saying no is really hard, but you got to say no, because you got to think about what you want to do with your future. I've had kids tell me that they have lots of friends that smoke weed, marijuana, and drink, and they say that saying no is not good enough. But what they like to say is, like, when somebody comes up to them and says, "Hey, you want to smoke some pot with me, or you want a beer?" They say, "Nah, my mom, my dad, they're an alcoholic, they got a drinking problem, it's in my genes, I don't want to start smoking, because I don't want to get sick, or I'm on the track team, I like to run a lot, and if I smoke cigarettes, it's going to be, it's going to be bad for me." It's pretty much everything that I have. Like I said, I'm going to hand out a booklet afterwards. If you have any specific questions that aren't answered, in front of everybody, you want to pull me aside, I'm going to be available thereafter. Thank you.
Later on in life, if you're talking to a police officer and then comes up, can't you still be arrested for?
Officer Fallon?
Being arrested for things that you did like 10 years ago or 5 years ago as a juvenile. No, there's most of the drug arrests are misdemeanors, and what that means is they have like a year stipulation. So we're not gonna, if you smoked cigarettes when you were 12 and you apply for a job when you're 20, we're not gonna come back and arrest you. Good question.
Yes.
When my friend and I went to Myrtle Beach, we went into some of the gift shops, and they had drugs. Like, we talked to, I don't remember if he was just a security guard or somebody at a hotel, and he said that they were kind of not illegal. And
Do you remember exactly what it was called? Yeah, spikes. Yeah, they have these. They're called.
it looked like weed.
Yeah, they have something called like synthetic marijuana. It's called K12 or Spice. It comes in a really shiny package. It looks like a stick of gum or baseball cards. Fortunately now they're actually illegal in Virginia because they're considered pseudo drugs. And there's hundreds of thousands of like bad chemicals that are in like tobacco and marijuana. The spice or the K12, it's like what's the word I'm looking for? You don't know what's in there, and it's like a lot of the things that are in there they're addicting. They give them really bad headaches, and we've had cases where someone will go to buy marijuana, or they think it's marijuana, but it's really like oregano and arsenic or something like that. But they still get treated like it's marijuana. Not all states follow Virginia, but they should. Good question.
I end by saying that, it's okay to say no. And it's the cool thing to do to say no. I mean, you see how this one first drink or this one first smoke of marijuana just turned their lives upside down, and very quickly. And it can happen to anyone. I mean, actually, I'm the varsity honor student, AP student, varsity cheerleader. And then within 6 months, she's a heroin addict, living in DC, stealing from people. And it can happen very quickly. And just be aware. One of the things we always promote in this club is always be aware of your surroundings. Always know what's going on around you. Yes.
If somebody asks you to come here to use some drugs, is it okay just to say no thanks?
And that's exactly what you should say. Yes. That's exactly what you should say. What they thought the party life and always going out with friends and having fun, that was not the situation at all. I mean, it's a very dark and lonely life. And when they were in trouble or when they needed someone, their so-called party friends were nowhere to be found. And just some of the warning signs and things to look for, in your friends. Hygiene, if someone's not taking care of themselves like they should, coming to school dirty, if they're skipping school a lot, calling in sick or whatever. If they were playing sports, very active in sports, and all of a sudden they're not interested in sports anymore. Or it seems like they're becoming detached from everything that they were doing before. That's a warning sign. And, I often wish and wonder if I had been more educated in drugs. When Jeremy started disappearing from our house and not showing up as often, could I have helped him? I mean, if I had known, would I have been able to help him? I'd like to think so. But knowing this, what I didn't know at the time, you can help save a friend. Or, you can help your own self. But the drug not only affects you, it affects all the people around you. Affects your family, financially, health-wise. Jeremy didn't talk about it today, but when he was with us before, he talked about how his family had to sell his home to pay legal bills. Then his mom and dad ended up divorcing just because of all the stress. His mom started drinking heavily and had her own health problems, all because of stress from what Jeremy was going through. Ashley's family lost their home, to pay for her drug habits. And, it's a very lonely life. It's a very dark life. And it's not one we want to get caught up in. And it is okay to say no. And it is the right thing to do, to say no. But I hope this has helped today. And I don't want to scare you, but I want this to be something, if you're ever faced with a choice, if you're ever in a situation where you're being offered something, that you will remember this, and that you will remember the choices that should be made and what can happen if you don't. But thank you very much. I want to thank several people, Ashley and Jeremy and Officer Fallon, for being here today, for having the courage. And I'm very proud of these young people, because it's not easy to admit you've made a mistake, but not only admit your mistake, but want to help other people from keeping to make that same mistake. And I really applaud them, and I thank them very much.